Good afternoon and welcome to this special virtual event in observance of Education and Sharing Day in Texas. For over 40 years, it has been an American tradition to designate the birthday of the Lubavitch Rebbe, which is observed each year 4 days before the Jewish festival of Passover, as Education and Sharing Day. The Rebbe brought the importance of moral and ethical education to the forefront of the national conversation. And this day is a time to reflect on our obligation to provide our children with the essential tools they need to navigate through life in the most compassionate and positive way. This is a bipartisan tradition with proclamations signed by presidents from both parties and in recent years from governors in every state in the union. During the last legislative session in 2019, a delegation of Chabad rabbis from throughout the state had the good fortune to meet at the state capitol in Austin for a very moving presentation of resolutions passed by the Texas Senate and the House of Representatives. Due to the pandemic, we cannot gather at the Capitol in person, but we are so grateful to Senator Menendez and to Speaker Pro Tem Joe Moody for sponsoring Education Day resolutions in the Senate and the House respectively, and to Governor Greg Abbott for signing an Education Day proclamation last week. One of the Rebbe's foundational teachings is that our world is essentially a beautiful and divine space, and the Education and Sharing Day tradition is about emphasizing the true potential every human being has to be an ambassador for good and the catalyst for uplifting and inspiring society. Before we go on with the program, I would like to begin with an act of charity. As the Rebbe always said, that after charity, everything comes much easier and more successfully. This year, the Rebbe's birthday will be observed on Wednesday, March 24th, which is in 2 days from now. And today we are honored to have with us Senator Menendez from San Antonio and Speaker Pro Tem Moody as we prepare for Education and Sharing Day. It is my pleasure to introduce Rabbi Chaim Block, the Senior Chabad Rabbi of San Antonio, Texas, and a friend of Senator Menendez.
Thank you, Rabbi Greenberg, and for all your efforts in organizing this very, very beautiful tribute to the Rebbe. It is my great privilege and pleasure to introduce to everyone here on this call a very dear personal friend, Senator Menendez, who, when I called him about sponsoring, about helping with the Senate resolution, he immediately, enthusiastically volunteered and offered to do whatever he could to advance this resolution in the Senate and to yet support education again. And Senator Menendez is no newcomer or neophyte to education. Education is very near and close to his heart. And many of you may know, should know, that it was Senator Menendez who sponsored in 2019 Senate Resolution, I think it was 1828, to mandate Holocaust education in the public schools of Texas. And out of that came Holocaust Education Week in the state of Texas. And so we are all so grateful to you, Senator Menendez, for that effort and for today's effort to further advance the importance and critical nature of education in our country, especially as it relates to the children. You know, in a few days, we are going to be celebrating the festival of Passover. And it's the festival of the Jewish people's liberation from slavery in ancient Egypt thousands of years ago. But the message of liberation is very current and very relevant today, especially personal liberation from our own bias and prejudice, which comes about only through education, through learning, through experience, through exposure to other cultures and traditions. We further a peaceful and a mutually respectful environment and society. Passover is all about education. It's about educating our children. It's about sitting around the Passover Seder and encouraging children to ask questions, which is the foundation of education, is encouraging questions. Children should be made comfortable to ask questions. That's the first step in advancing education. And so we have the 4 questions at the Seder. We have the 4 sons at the Seder, the children that we have to relate to in different ways depending on what type of child this is. And so it's very apropos that we are gathering today to advance this special recognition of the Rebbe's commitment to education through, worldwide and on a universal level, and locally here in the state of Texas. So thank you, Senator Menendez. And if you would offer a few words, that would be most appreciated.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Rabbi. And I'm very proud and honored to be joining you today, at least virtually. I'm sorry I'm in my car, but I had an emergency at home and I didn't want to cancel. And it has been said, in 1978, it was established by a congressional resolution, Education and Sharing Day, celebrated annually, and in honor of Rabbi Menendez Schneerson, and recognizing his hard work. And I will tell you, education and sharing promotes the foundation of meaningful education, instructing our youth in the ways of morality and ethics, and teaching them appreciation for knowledge. And the rabbi said, you are divinely gifted with enormous strength and energy. Actualize it. And that's the thing that we have to do each and every day. And he believed in the power of the individual and inspired us all as he emphasized the importance of education and good character. And Rabbi Block, as I think about this, I think of another mutual friend that we had and that believed these things, and how much it meant to him. And so I think of him often, and I know what a good friend he was to you and our good friend. It's hard to even talk. And although let's go on. Although the rabbi talked and witnessed the tragedies of World War II and the Holocaust and the oppression and the violence of the Cold War, he kept his faith in society, and he believed that no matter how awful the world can be, we can be liberated through education. And so, yes, you were right about Senate Bill 1828, which I filed in the Senate, and my friend Richard Raymond filed a similar bill, the Holocaust Remembrance in Texas in the House, and we worked together to make sure, because learning is universal, and it always happens everywhere, in the classroom, at the dinner table, in the park. Learning is all around us. And so as we celebrate Education and Sharing Day, not only do we celebrate the life of Rabbi Menendez Schneerson, but we also celebrate all people who have worked to cultivate education in our lives, fostering honesty, independence, courage, and kindness for one another, regardless of what we look like, where we're from, and that we should value our life and our ability to have our education. And so it is I that thanks you, Rabbi Block, for inviting me to be a part of this. It helps me sort of refocus. It's been a difficult day. It's been a difficult session, but getting my focus back together. And it's just like you and I spoke the other day about remembering what's important in life. And so thank you for this opportunity to once again center myself and to be a small part of a very important day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Menendez, for your moving words. May you be blessed with much health, happiness, and success in your personal life. And may your tremendous efforts on behalf of all the citizens of Texas be divinely blessed. So thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Rabbi Greenberg. Thank you.
During Hanukkah 2014, Representative Joe Moody honored the El Paso Jewish community by participating in our grand Hanukkah event and lighting the tallest candle of the menorah. The tallest candle of the menorah is the one that lights all the other candles. And over time, I've come to know Representative Moody as a true leader and source of inspiration for all the citizens of El Paso and throughout the state of Texas, as evidenced by the fact that he is today the Speaker Pro Tem of the Texas House of Representatives. I will note that this event is being hosted by the Speaker Pro Tem's Zoom account, And I thank you for your tremendous enthusiasm and assistance in making Education Day and Education and Sharing Day so meaningful in Texas. And I believe that you also have a special announcement of something that will be happening this Wednesday in honor of Education Day. So on that note, I'd like to hand over the mic to our host, Speaker Pro Tem Joe Moody from El Paso.
Thank you, Rabbi. Can y'all hear me okay? All right, perfect. Still getting used to these things. First of all, Senator, want you to know how much you mean to us. I'm sorry that that today is you've encountered some challenges. I want you to know that we'll be praying for you and your family.
Thank you, my friend. Appreciate that.
Absolutely. And so I've had this on my desk since 2 years ago. And so I'll follow suit, Rabbi, and I'll start by putting in some charity to begin with. And on Wednesday, on the 24th, we're actually going to, on the House floor, deliver charity boxes onto every member's desk. So they'll have it there on their desk. And they'll have a note that talks about Education and Sharing Day and the importance of it and the relevance of it today in our lives and how we can spread that word around. I do want to give a few comments, and I'm going to read the formal resolution if it's okay, because if we were doing this in person, that's what we would do. We'd read it on the House floor like we did 2 years ago, and then we'd give comments and be able to enjoy each other's company. Unfortunately, we're doing this a little bit differently, but I appreciate everybody's flexibility. So before I read the resolution, this resolution is a tribute to a great man with an important message for us all. Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, known as the Lubavitch Rebbe, became the leader of the Chabad Lubavitch movement in 1950. While he concentrated his efforts on rebuilding and energizing the global Jewish community after the devastation of the Holocaust, he paid great attention to the needs of all humanity. When other leaders worked diligently to grow a following around themselves, the Rebbe trained his students to move out to every corner of the globe to set up outposts of education, light, and love. Today, Chabad Lubavitch representatives have representatives on every continent on the globe, in over 100 countries, in every state in our union. The first Chabad institution in Texas was established in 1972 and has blossomed to over 50 institutions, serving in over 20 cities in the great state of Texas. The Rebbe's global impact was so great that he is the only rabbi to have been awarded the Congressional Gold Medal and to have a National Day of Reflection proclaimed annually in his honor. The Rebbe taught that every individual, and in fact every individual action, has an impact on the entire universe. The Rebbe emphasized the importance of education and good character and instilled the hope for a brighter future into the lives of countless people in America and across the globe. The Rebbe taught that education in general should not be limited to the acquisition of knowledge and preparation for a career. Instead, the educational system must pay more attention, indeed the main attention, to the building of character, with emphasis on moral and ethical values. Over the last 4 decades, the United States Congress has set aside Education and Sharing Day, and it is proclaimed annually by presiding U.S. presidents from both parties on the Rebbe's birthday, which is 4 days before the Jewish festival of Passover. In tribute to his commitment to teaching the next generation of Americans the values that make our country strong, this year we're going to observe on Wednesday, March 24th. This day provides Americans the opportunity to pause and recognize our responsibility to ensure that our young people have the foundation necessary to lead lives rich in purpose and fulfillment. Education and Sharing Day is about creating conversations. It's about the conversations we have with our children around the dinner table, the conversations we have with our students in the classrooms, and the conversations we have day in and day out that can have an impact on the hearts and minds of our young ones. The Rebbe taught that in truth, every person is an educator, and we must be mindful of our ability to impact the lives of others. People are more influenced by the things they do than by the knowledge they are taught. Therefore, beyond the conversations, it is important to promote these ideas through action. In 1974, the Rebbe introduced the charity campaign, not a fundraiser for a specific cause or a call to philanthropists to write some big check. Rather, it's a grassroots campaign to train us all to become givers. The idea is very simple. Set aside a box in your home or in your office as a charity box and start off the day with giving a small amount to charity. Children should have their own charity boxes and should be encouraged to give charity every day as well. This will educate them to have empathy and to care for others. The catch is to do this on a consistent basis. Beyond the value of the accumulated charity that'll benefit worthy causes, the hand becomes a giving hand, and one becomes a giver as a result. Education and sharing are synonymous, since becoming a giver or a sharer demands education, and it is up to us to set the proper example for our children. With that, Rabbi, is it okay if I read the resolution?
Please.
Okay. I have it here, and then once we finally pass it, we obviously want to make sure that it's available to anybody who would like a copy of it, so we can coordinate that afterwards. But it reads as follows. Whereas for more than 4 decades, every United States president has declared the annual observance of Education and Sharing Day in honor of the birthday of Rabbi Menendez Schneerson and his contributions to education. And whereas one of the most celebrated figures in 20th century Judaism, Rabbi Schneerson, was born in the Ukraine in 1902, he demonstrated a remarkable aptitude for religious scholarship at a young age, mastering the entire Talmud and many of its commentaries by the age of 17. In the 1920s, he became part of the inner circle of the Lubavitch Rebbe, the leader of the Chabad Lubavitch movement in Judaism, and he married the Rebbe's daughter, Chaya Mushka. Forced to flee Berlin and later Paris because of Nazi anti-Semitism, the couple settled in New York City in 1941. And whereas in 1951, Rabbi Schneerson officially succeeded his father-in-law as the Lubavitch Rebbe, and over the next 44 years, he built the movement into a worldwide community of 200,000 members. A strong advocate for children and education, he believed that schools should stress both academic achievement and character building, and he established several thousand Orthodox Jewish schools and educational centers around the globe before his passing in 1994. And whereas in recognition of Rabbi Schneerson's advocacy, President Jimmy Carter proclaimed the first Education and Sharing Day in 1978, and the tradition has continued each year since on the rabbi's birthday. It is celebrated on 11 Nisan of the Jewish liturgical calendar, or 4 days before Passover. And in 2021, it falls on March 24th. His accolades further include a Congressional Gold Medal, which he received posthumously in 1995. And whereas in the midst of a global pandemic that has disrupted traditional models of education across the nation, Education and Sharing Day represents an important opportunity for Texans to reflect not just on how to foster academic achievement in young people, but also on the core values that should be imparted to children and adults alike. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Texas House of Representatives of the 87th Texas Legislature hereby recognize March 24th, 2021 as Education and Sharing Day.
Thank you, Representative Moody, for your moving presentation, for your very warm words, and we're looking forward to see what happens on Wednesday. And I understand the senator is also going to be speaking about the same idea in the Senate chamber as well. So thank you for doing that. And I'm sure this is going to be a good beginning for many more observances of Education and Sharing Day, and hopefully that we should continue the concept of daily charitable giving every day, not just 1 day a year, not just on Education and Sharing Day. Every society, every community has its pioneers, and Chabad in Texas has the privilege of having the pioneering couple that moved here to Texas in 1972. I understand that next year we'll be celebrating 50 years of Chabad's permanent presence here. And it is our honor and pleasure to have with us Rebbetzin Chiena Lazaroff, who together with her husband, Rabbi Shimon Lazaroff, set out to the new frontier of the Wild West, to the great state of Texas, and started, the first institution which blossomed into what Chabad in Texas is today. And so with no further introduction, it is my pleasure to hand over the mic to Rebbetzin Chiena Lazaroff, the pioneering shlucha, emissary of the Rebbe here in Texas.
Thank you. Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you all for being here today. And I thank you, Speaker Pro Tem Joe Moody and Senator Jose Menendez, for your meaningful and moving presentations in honor of the Rebbe, following the national U.S. tradition of over 40 years to designate the Rebbe's birthday as Education and Sharing Day. I vividly recall the Rebbe's 70th birthday in the spring of 1972. There was a large celebration at Chabad headquarters in Brooklyn, and the Rebbe spoke for hours to the thousands gathered for this historic event. Many of the Rebbe's talks that evening were dedicated to the idea of work. that humanity was created to work hard. Adam le'amal yivaled. And time does not diminish our personal obligation to invest all of our energies to tirelessly make our world a better place. The Rebbe shared that since he was approaching 70, some had suggested he should start slowing down. It was 22 years since the Rebbe assumed leadership of the global Chabad Lubavitch movement in 1950, a community reeling from the devastation of the Holocaust and torn asunder by Soviet brutality. In those 2 decades, the Rebbe had succeeded in rejuvenating and rebuilding Chabad into a vibrant and powerful presence in the Jewish world. His daily work hours defied human abilities, and he never took a single day of vacation. Naturally, some felt it was time for the Rebbe to take it easy. Instead of heeding their well-intentioned advice, he announced that in honor of this special milestone of 70, he would establish 71 new Chabad institutions throughout the world. My husband, Rabbi Shimon Lazaroff, and I dreamed of establishing a new Chabad outpost. And following that dramatic announcement, we received the Rebbe's mandate and blessing to establish Chabad Lubavitch in Texas. We moved to Houston and set up shop, eventually establishing the Torah Day School. The first institution blossomed into over 50 institutions spanning the great state of Texas, and it all started from the Rebbe's birthday commitment to expand his workload and to achieve even greater heights than before. 14 years later, in the spring of 1986, when the Rebbe celebrated his 84th birthday, he started a new custom. Every Sunday, he would stand outside of his office for hours and distribute dollar bills. Thousands sought to have a few moments in his presence to receive his blessing and some advice. And on Sunday afternoons, everyone was welcome to see him. The lines stretched for hours, and every man, woman, and child who passed by him would receive a dollar bill. The Rebbe explained that when 2 people meet, a third should benefit, and the dollar bill was his way of transforming that encounter into a catalyst for spreading goodness and kindness, to empower every individual to be a giver. The custom continued for many years, and as the Rebbe neared his 90th birthday, he would stand for close to 7 hours at a time to greet the many thousands whose lives were forever transformed from these short encounters. In this spirit, it is such a pleasure to know that the leaders of our great state will be observing the Education and Sharing Day, the Rebbe's birthday, by having a designated giving box on their desks and discussing the importance of daily charitable giving, an action that when done consistently can transform us all, uplift our communities, and truly change the world. As we approach the Jewish festival of Passover, which commemorates the redemption of the Jewish people from Egyptian slavery and bondage, may we all experience redemption from all distractions, challenges, and hardships we may face in our private lives or in our public endeavors, and have the ability to joyfully inspire everyone around us to increase in acts of goodness and kindness, to prepare the world for an era of true peace and tranquility for all. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you, Rebbe Lazaroff. It's such a pleasure to have you here with us. And thank you all the participants that are with us here on this Zoom call for this very special dedication. I believe it will be appropriate to end off this dedication by reading the text of the governor's proclamation, which was signed last week, and I will do so. Texans have always known the power of high-quality education. The youth of Texas represent both the hard work and dedication of our present, as well as the hope and promise of our future. Greater educational opportunities will help guide our children as they grow, learn, and strive to build a better and brighter future for our world. To ensure the success of our youth, as well as the success of our state and nation, It is vital that the education available to our children nurtures not only their minds, but their hearts as well. The Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Menachem Mendel Schneerson, devoted his life to supporting and promoting ethical and moral education, which he believed would further improve all mankind. As a dedicated advocate for youth in America and around the world, the Rebbe spread a message that highlighted the significance of education as the foundation of good character. Throughout his life, he made lasting and worthwhile contributions to learning by establishing over 5,000 educational and social institutions in all 50 states, with 35 in Texas alone. His lifelong pursuit of excellence and his dedication to expanding educational opportunities for all have allowed children across our nation and around the globe to pursue their dreams with the full force of a robust education. On the anniversary of the Rebbe's birth, we recognize Education and Sharing Day to honor his legacy and acknowledge our shared responsibility to support our young people with an educational foundation that will prepare them for lifelong success. Our commitment to education today will ensure that our children live lives full of purpose. Their success will ensure the success of the Lone Star State and beyond for generations to come. Signed by Greg Abbott, Governor of Texas. And with that, I thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Senator Menendez. Thank you, Speaker Pro Tem Joe Moody. And we hope to see you, at least virtually, on Wednesday, observing Education and Sharing Day. We're all looking forward to that as well. And have a very blessed and successful rest of the day and rest of the week. And best wishes for a happy Passover to all.
Thank you, Rabbi Greenberg.
Thank you, Rabbi. Everyone be safe.
Thank you.